Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is November the 2nd, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing better. Today is better. I gotta say, I've been freaking out the mostest, but Cargate still a thing, still a problem. But we are still rolling on. I think that's another reason why I'm a little better. And also, I think I might have some good lines of some people that might be able to help me out. So that's good. It's definitely helping me breathe a little bit easier because my butthole has been tight for a little bit. But, at the end of the day, I'm very grateful, one, to all my friends, all my family. Sometimes, we can't just shell out money and help each other out. Obviously, my broke ass totally gets it. But, like, I just know growing up, maybe it's just like my old Christian logic and kicks in. It's just like I need to talk to people, and I don't even think that that's like actually Christian. I think that is a human thing that people should do. Once again, I talked about that in a recent episode. Reaching out is so key. Like sometimes that really does just make all the difference. And I literally have just been talking, workshopping, talking, and that's why I'm here now. Like that's why I feel a lot better. So want to be, first off, shout out to y'all, and then two, shout out to my listeners because obviously you're part of the reason for the season. Me, logging on and talking all this good shit. And so, you're a part of this catharsis that I do of just being like, yes, it's good to be able to just get this shit out. This is a lot of sometimes my little audio journal, you know what I mean? But then, of course, we're going to segue into some news soon, of course. But, also then my opinions on said news things, crystallized. So I can, laugh at myself when I go back and listen to this shit. But yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful for you guys being a part of this process because it definitely is nice. It's great. And obviously, shout out to my newsies. Salute. Because you put a little bit more, skin in the game. And that's something that's not nothing, okay? In this capitalist society, you're speaking volumes to me. Okay. On that note, I'm gonna take my start. You know what I mean? You know how I get down. You know what I do. The real ones know anyway. We're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about some news. Just another classic day. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Okay, from CBS News. Hundreds of Americans appear set to leave Gaza through Rafah border crossing into Egypt. Hundreds of Americans who were trapped in Gaza appeared set to leave the war-torn territory. On Thursday, as foreign nationals continued to cross over Rafah border crossing into Egypt after it opened to them for the first time since October 7th. A list of Gaza's Hamas-controlled interior ministry had the names of 400 American nationals who were approved to cross over the border on Thursday. The U.S. State Department estimates there are around 400 Americans stuck in Gaza. Respectively, there's obviously thousands of Palestinians with dual nationalities that are, currently trapped and not able to leave. So this was a big moment in that regard. Yeah, I mean, it is something to highlight and talk about. I will say, though, I do feel like the media is kind of spinning this up like, oh, yeah, you can see, yeah, we're actually making some progress, humanitarian progress. And it's like, I really do not feel that way because we've talked about what is going on here in the situation where it's like, look, you are doing a thing where you are pounding this area relentlessly. Obviously, in terms of the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, they are continuing their move and their push through Gaza. I think they've surrounded the Gaza city at this point. They're hitting, all kinds of infrastructure. They are, allegedly trying to hit as much Hamas underground as they can. Hence another reason why, yet again, they hit the Jabalia refugee camp. I want to say that happened around Wednesday. So, I mean, that is still ongoing. That is still severe. But I feel like this is like a saving face thing. Like, well, yeah, we are finally like opening things up and letting people go. But once again, these are people with dual nationalities. That, like, we're talking thousands, sure, when there's like 2.3 million people here. So it is a trickle. Also, it is a thing that you're put on a list. And that list is also cross-referenced, by Israel. So it's like, hey, there's no Hamas here. This is a Hamas-free list. And then you can get yourself into this, situation. But it's really only you, and I imagine, what your immediate family, anyone who has this dual nationality. Because I've heard, stories of people just in tears, just like, yes, I'm happy to be, getting out of the situation, but I had to make the heartbreaking decision to leave my family here. This, as grim and dark as things are, this is maybe the last time I'm going to see or hear from them again. It's just very frustrating. It's very upsetting. Sorry, I kind of got thrown off there. Trying to think what else I wanted to cover. There's also some side news as well. I talked about the Jabalia refugee camp getting hit again. And then back in the States, they had to shut down Cornell University. There you go. Sorry. There was some anti-Semitic, really aggressive threats made by a student. Just making these wild declarations to go out and do this, that, and the third. I don't really want to repeat it. It's very gross. It's very, ugh. But that person has been arrested, and then I think Cornell University is also they're saying, hey, things are really ratcheted up. I know there's a lot of protests and stuff going on, stuff in that way. But yeah, I feel like there you go. We kind of just wrapped it up there. A little bit of a Middle Eastern coverage and whatnot. I know a lot have just gone on, and just from the 48 hours since I last talked about it, and I'm really just kind of grazing the surface here. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. From CBS News. Former Delta co-pilot indicted for threatening to shoot captain during commercial flight, officials say. This more crazy fucking top flight news. A former Delta co-pilot was federally indicted earlier this month, accused of threatening to shoot the captain of a commercial flight last year if he'd averted the plane because a passenger on board may have been suffering a medical emergency, authorities confirmed Tuesday. According to court documents obtained by CBS News, on October 18th, a Utah grand jury indicted Jonathan Dunn on one count of interference with a flight crew. The alleged incident occurred on August 22nd, 2022. Let's see. The Department of Transportation's Inspector General's office said in a news release Tuesday, but did not specify the airline. Though CBS did their homework, and then they figured out that he was on Delta Air. But yeah, apparently over this disagreement to send a passenger who was having a medical emergency, he's like, I'm going to shoot you if you do that. Which is crazy. Obviously, if you're not familiar, with aeronautics or whatever, I'm no Wright brother or anything, but you should never shoot and pull out your gun and use it on a plane. That's a very big no-no, because this is a pressurized cabin and all that. You're miles above the sky and above the ground, and that'd be a terrible place for you to just boop boop and cause a big breach or something. So you also have to be a very trained individual, which Dunn is. Apparently, he's also done 2 tours in Afghanistan. So there's that. Also, I think they do talk a little bit more about Dunn. Apparently, he had a religious case. Multiple sources confirmed to CBS News that Dunn was also the plaintiff in an unsuccessful U.S. Supreme Court case last year, in which, as a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, Dunn attempted to block the Air Force from disciplining him for refusing to take the mandatory COVID-19 vaccine on religious grounds. That sounds kind of familiar. We've talked about guys like this. This is kind of maybe adding up a little. I don't want to say too much, but yeah. So he lost that situation. It was like a 6-3 margin. Such a bummer for Dunn. He's just like, he's stressed out. So the last thing he needs is a plane diverted. You know what I mean? He's just had it up to here. He's been fighting the good fight, and this is where it's taking him. Like no, this guy can make it. This person can make it. I imagine. This is his thoughts, and he was just like, hey, I'm popping fresh. And maybe he was just talking tough. Maybe he wouldn't actually pull the trigger and shoot a man multiple times on a plane that I described. That you just shouldn't do that. But hey, he is the trained guy. He's the TSA guy. But yeah, so needless to say, this was a no-no. It didn't go over well. And, yeah, now he is on trial. So, maybe I'll try to keep you posted on that. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the second time, within like a week or so that we're covering stories of like, pilots just being weird. Like, it's like, just relax. You know what I mean? Like, if it was me, like I have seen like flight simulators or whatever, it's already nerve-wracking enough as it is dealing with all that kind of shit. The last thing I want to do is start getting frisky dingo on the plane. Like if I'm that guy, no thanks. I'm chilling. Even if my, in the psychedelic mushroom guy who freaked out and tried to fucking ice the engines, if I'm uncomfortable in my seat, I'm going to just ride the wave. You know what I mean? I'm going to be easy rider. I'm not going to get weird. And yeah, for this Dunn guy, I would not be saying, hey, I'm going to shoot you if you make this decision I don't like. That is kind of wild. kind of sussy baka. All right. But anyway, let's move along. Actually, yeah, this is an update. Yeah, another update. Yeah, I can say that. From CNN. Australian woman charged with murder over suspected death cap mushroom poisonings. Yeah, that's right. We're back here, baby. Australian police have brought murder charges against a woman who served a lunch earlier this year that led to the deaths of 3 people from suspected death cap mushroom poisoning. It's like so brutal. Death cap mushroom poisoning. Victoria police confirmed a 49-year-old woman was charged with 3 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder after being arrested in connection with the case Thursday morning. And that is Erin Patterson, 49 years old. I think last time I covered this, I don't recall if I mentioned that she ate the food as well and got sick and, wound up recovering. I know her daughter or daughters, I can't remember, but like essentially it was like, oh yeah, you're not eating. So she didn't wind up eating. The husband didn't wind up showing up, but the in-laws and the sister, so like the whole in-law family more or less came through to eat. And I think the reverend, and they all ate these mushrooms that were essentially not good to eat. They were death cap mushrooms, and they, wound up killing people. And then the reverend, he got so sick, he was critically ill. I think he needed a liver transplant, but he was able to leave the hospital. Let's see, just days after the meal, her former mother-in-law, Gail Patterson, 70 years old, Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, 68, and Gail's 70-year-old husband died in the hospital. And then Ian Wilkinson, 68 years old, was left critically ill and reportedly in need of a liver transplant, but made enough of a recovery to leave Melbourne's Austin Hospital in September. So yeah, she claimed that I got some of them from foraging. I got some of them from an Asian food market. But I didn't know they were poisonous. That was not my intention. They're doing investigation on it. I think that they more or less feel like it is suspect. I feel like that's why they've been, doing this investigation. I know after they arrested her, they also, then had search warrants and stuff to go through the house and all that. So I feel like they're probably pretty determined that it was her. But we'll see. We will definitely see. Obviously, this is all allegedly. Got to throw that out there, put that word into the air, the ether. But, Yeah, just super. It's definitely sad. Obviously, you're, and especially because I've talked about this. For me, this is like literally tasty bait. Like I've never had a full blown beef Wellington. That's like one of my dream foods. It's one of my dream meals, and for someone to lure me in with beef Wellington, and it turns out that you're putting in death cap mushrooms, like there's some kind of cruel irony in that. You know what I mean? Like psychedelic mushrooms. Okay, now we're talking. Let's get jazzy. Let's get weird. Ooh, I'm listening there. Death cap ones. Death cap for cutie. Like, come on, don't do me like that. Like we're homies. And like it seemed like they had an amicable relationship, but I mean maybe not. Maybe there was some murderous intent brewing in there. I don't know. That's crazy, but we'll see. We'll definitely see how this matriculates, and do more coverage on that later. All right, we have one more thing to cover, and then I will let you go. You know me, I'm gonna take my break, and then we'll close it out. From from the Independent. Actually, I'm sorry. I gotta say this. I normally don't do any like ad talk or anything like that, but on this Independent page, they are trying to sell me Welch's Juicefuls. I guess essentially they have gusher filled Welch's, and those things sound divine right now. Hashtag not sponsored. I'm not sponsored to do this, but this is good ads. They got the little gummies moving around and shit. I'm fruiting into these right now. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, from the Independent, the Taylor Swift effect. Record labels urge artists to limit album re-records. This tickled my fancy. I was like, ooh, let's look into this because we covered Taylor Swift a little bit. I do feel like a lot of times I'm not covering Taylor Swift, the woman, the human being. I'm like covering Taylor Swift like the phenomena. Like this is what Taylor Swift did to Cincinnati. Like this is what I like. That's how I usually like wind up bringing her up. Like this is what she's doing to the economy. Like I was so tempted to talk about her and Travis Kelce, but I knew that was like kind of out of my range. So I was just kind of looking wistfully at their relationship because literally she's making people care about like Kansas City and what's going on there. I think it's Kansas City. I don't know where he plays. Y'all know I'm not a sports ball guy. Whatever. Sound off in the comments what team he plays for. But whatever. She's literally just in the box chilling, that's my boo now, that's my boyfriend. And like that's affecting football sales. That's affecting football. That's amazing. Kudos to you. Go off. Sound off. But so yeah, I mean she's popped off with her world tour. She's been doing these re-releases and they're a big deal. So that's why I was like, all right, let's at least talk about this part. Let's just like fucking get in here. Taylor Swift may be officially a billionaire, more news, thanks to the success of her re-recorded albums, but record labels are reportedly going to extensive new measures to prevent other artists from copying her. On Friday, the 27th of October, Swift delighted fans as she released the new version of her 2014 pop album 1989. It's the latest of Swift's albums to be re-released since 2019, when she began re-recording her first 6 albums as a means of regaining control over her music. As with her other recorded albums, 1989, Taylor's version, has proved to be a lucrative endeavor for Taylor Swift, who has last week officially declared to be a billionaire. So yeah, I mean, with the album coming up, her world tour, like I think she's officially like wrapped up the US leg, and now she's like I think going to South America. I don't know. Swifties, once again, let me know. Tell me if I'm wrong, right, whatever. It's a big deal. Like it's major shit. And I do think it's interesting with the whole like Taylor's version thing. Apparently it I think stems with something with her manager Scooter Braun. Buying out some of her let's see, I just read it here. Back in 2019, Swift found herself at the center of an argument about her master's recordings after manager Scooter Braun purchased Swift's original record label, Big Machine Records. So far, she has re-released updated versions known as Taylor's versions of 2008's Fearless, 2012's Red, and 2010's Speak Now. With the release of 1989, Taylor's version, in October, she now owns the majority of her discography. Which, owning the masters, like the full out rights to your shit, is really important. I've also heard her talk about how, like, she felt during a lot of the times, you know, just coming up in her career, that she was told how has to sound. This is told how you have to look. This is like told how you have to perform. And it's like, now that she has so much more control and autonomy, that's something that is, you know, important, that she like really wants the songs and her music to really reflect herself. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but you know, that's kind of the vibe I took here. And I'm like, okay, all right, sound off queen. That sounds good. But essentially, record labels are like, kind of like, that's going to cut into our sales if like, you know, our big label artist, our guy, gal, whoever decides to say, oh, you know, it's been long enough. I actually want to make my shit, you know, and this way it's like my song now or whatever. Like, especially it's like if you've left the label or what have you, like you're independent, like you now get a chance to like re-release a thing. And I'm like, yeah, that is actually really cool. It's like really good way to make some money. It's kind of like some movie shit. Like, yeah, we like came out with this new shit and it's like, yeah, I just came out with this shit, but now I'm like fully grown. And it's like, yeah, that's a good idea. And labels are like, let's get ahead of this and like get it in ink so that you can't just do this as easily. I know I'm kind of skimming here. Yeah. Now some artists have been asked to agree not to re-record their releases until between 10 to 30 years after leaving their record companies, which that's hogwash. And I'm glad that like lawyers, we talk about Josh Karp here, who goes, what's going on? This is wrong. This has never been a thing. And now you're trying to make it a thing. Like, and I think it's definitely, you know, if you're in the music industry, you know, you're blowing up, you're doing your thing, what have you, people trying to sign you to a thing, get a lawyer to look at that shit. Get someone who knows and says, hey, you're not going to get fucked, because these motherfuckers are liquid with this shit. They always want to make sure that they're maximizing their dollar off of the commodity, which is you, the artist. And it's like, no, I'm making the thing. Like, the product is the thing I'm making. I'm a part of that. Like, you got to pay me what I'm fucking worth. And like, to try to skim someone in that way is just gross and fucked up. But, you know, like I said, get a good lawyer out there. Make sure they read that shit. Be careful. You know, speak now. Ooh, we did it. That's good. All right, I'm ending on that one. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I know I have to shill. I'm sorry, I got to do that. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. If you'd like to support the effort, you do become a newsie. I shout you out at the top of the month and plug a project you're doing. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. And then I'm on all the socials, and hit me up on those. Subscribe to the YouTube. Hit all the follows, hit all the comments and stuff like that. Yeah, do that, please. Thank you. Awesome. You're awesome. Love you. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.